Yes, we have a lot of inquiries at Silver Travel Advisor about what's the best way to start cruising, and we often suggest that a river cruise is a good way to do it. For example, there are people who are slightly scared of the open water. They like the fact that you want to be able to see land when you're cruising, especially if you've never done it before. And of course a river cruise is ideal. It is very safe. You're not going to get massive waves or things that might make you a little bit nervous about cruising. If you take a European river cruise, you're going to destinations that you're very familiar with. So you'd be perhaps going down the Seine and visiting Paris and other cities in France, or taking one of the German or Austrian rivers, the Rhine or the Moselle or the Danube. And I think that if it's your first time, you're booking a holiday to a place that you perhaps already know, but discovering it in a completely new way. The Norwegian fjords as well, what a fantastic way to explore the fjords. There's so much interest in exploring them, and a river cruise is an ideal way to do that. Single travel in general is increasing massively. People are finding themselves single in later life, whether through circumstance, that could be bereavement or divorce, or choice. So I think in the past, single travellers tended to be people who were really sort of going out there on their own and were determined to be single. But more and more we're finding now that people find themselves single, and instead of sort of hunkering down and thinking, well, it means I can't go anywhere, actually they want to go out and explore. Then comes the challenge of where to go, what to do, and how to avoid the dreaded single supplement. So we do recommend cruises as being ideal. We think that so many of the ocean cruise lines are really waking up to this now, with companies like NCL, P&O, Fred Olsen, Cruise and Maritime Voyages, all having a good number of single cabins on board. There's a lot of activities organised by many of the cruise companies for single travellers, so they don't need to feel embarrassed or uncomfortable or lonely, which could be a big factor. Once they get on board, there are some cruise companies that provide dancing partners. There are mixed tables where you can sit and socialise with other single travellers. Some of the cruise companies cruise ships have rooms which are just for single travellers. So I think once you have bitten the bullet and decide that you're going to try cruising for the first time, you'll really have a very, very enjoyable time on board if you choose the right company and with other like-minded travellers. Limited mobility holidays are challenging. Accessible travel is something that is becoming more and more important. It's a bit like single travellers in that there are more and more people who have accessibility requirements, but don't know where to look, but they want to keep travelling. So again, they're not just saying it's the end of life as I know it for travelling. They want to get out there. And a lot of the ocean cruise companies now really recognise that, and there are many services which are available. That can be from the simple transportation of luggage to the cruise ship to avoid any kind of carrying, to accessible staterooms and cabins, to the opportunity to bring your mobility scooter on board, or a wheelchair, or to have a care assistant, and to make it a very smooth transition so that once you get on board, you can circulate around the ship in the same way as the able-bodied passengers without feeling that you're being in any way separated from them. River cruising's a bit more challenging. Obviously just the size of the ships means it is harder, and because of the nature of certain ports where it is quite typical to have to climb over other ships to get onto land. But that said, there are opportunities out there with certain cruise lines, for example Shearings, who are working very hard to make cruising on the rivers more accessible. So I think with the ageing demographic and older population, there will be more requirements for accessible cruising, and the industry will be responding.